the Pizzaplex, where fantasy and fun come to life, quite literally here. With how big the Pizzaplex is, we don't know what's at the heart of it all. Scattered throughout this multi-million-dollar Chuck E. Cheese lies many stories, whether it be of a duffel bag message or a Nightmare On doll watching us as we move. There are secrets everywhere. But it's harder than ever to find them, or even keep track of them at that. Even during FNAF's interview with Steel Wool Studios, we learned that we have yet to put all the puzzle pieces together of this Titanic-sized pizzeria. So what do we do when we need to solve the lore of something? We scour it thoroughly. And yes, the Pizzaplex is kind of, well, not small. But if the FNAF community wants a chance to solve and predict the lore of the series, someone needs to delve deep into the Pizzaplex, and I guess that someone's going to be me. Yeah, hi, quick introduction. I'm Ostentatious, and I apparently hate myself because I've just tasked myself to spend the summer making a series where I will be going room by room of the Pizzaplex and pulling together stories, odd coincidences, repetition, and so much more to try and break down the Pizzaplex's story room by room. Now, you might have noticed I said series, so obviously the Pizzaplex is absolutely massive. And I learned from this video, long-form content is kind of mind-boggling to do. So how this is going to work is over the summer, and honestly probably into the school year, I'll be going floor by floor in each episode and breaking down any important design features in a room, as well as where you find different collectibles, what animatronics scour which rooms, or any other notable features of the pizzeria. Then, when I finally complete the series, I will release the full cut together on one video, so that you can either watch the whole thing or watch the individual videos if you just need a certain part to help with the theory. You might be asking why I'm doing all this, and it's because the FNAF community is something I hold close to my heart. And I want to help feed the flame of the series and give you all a strong base to work from when crafting theories. The lore is kind of stressful with how much it grew, something I talked about in this video. And the bottom line is I want to ease some of that stress and bring back more of the fun of theorizing. So to compile the Pizzaplex is the way I thought I'd do that. So for this first video of the series, I'll be starting at the top of the Pizzaplex on the 4th floor and will be working my way down. But before that, will you join me for the journey by subscribing and joining the ostentation? I'd love to have you here. Now, without further ado, the Pizzaplex. But before I can get into the 4th floor, I do have to play a fresh game of Security Breach in order to make sure the only collectibles I have are the ones necessary to complete the game. And as we play, we do run into two areas that we can only access once, being the daycare and Fazer Blast. Although, I believe you can revisit some of the parts I cover, but rather safe than sorry. Anyways, since I'm not covering the story of Security Breach, but just the Pizzaplex, I will be skipping past the playthrough, outside of exploring our one chance in the daycare and maybe one chance of Fazer Blast, mentioning what collectibles I needed to pick up. Which, if you want to skip the main story playthrough, then go to the time on screen to get to the 4th floor dissection. But if you want all the juicy details, well, starting in Freddy's green room, we grab the Faz watch from his stomach hatch. Then, grabbing our free photo pass from the Rockstar Row gift shop, we make our way to the first office and grab ourselves the ability to use the cameras, until we hit the entrance where we grab our complimentary entrance pass, as well as a Mr. Hippo magnet from the gift shop that we use to get our daycare pass from customer service, finally leading us into the daycare. So after sliding into the ball pit, grabbing our flashlight upgrade from the tower, our flashlight from the charging station, security badge from the front desk, and a quick flip of some highly hazardous generator placements, I get to exploring this kitty jungle gym. So what is so important about this room? Not too much. We have all the basics of kid fun: ball pits, slides, play structures, cubbies filled with plushies, a giant FNAF 1 Freddy plush, a Fazbear freestyle machine, some fake kitchen appliances, a tiny home, and foam play pits with underwater theming. Which, the underwater theming paired with the kids' cove outside lead me to believe Foxy played a bigger role in this room before the addition of Sun and Moon. When exploring the structures, there wasn't much that stood out, but I did find these number blocks which read off 123, 654, 123, with the 6 and the 5 faded. And then making our way behind the desk, we see a lot of trash strewn about the area, and even a pizza box on top of a foam wave. But what I find most interesting is that each mouse has a lightning bolt that is faded, showing that these have been commonly used for some time. As for the months I've had my own mouse, you can barely start to see the wear from my usage. So unless the mouse is made of cheap material, this could suggest months to years of use. And finally, when looking at our walls, we have the main castle structure where Sun dives from, but our other walls consist of windowed structures that go up Sun, and then have a huge net that surrounds the entire daycare, which seems to be there to keep something in or out. I'm tempted to say it's to keep the balls in, but there are so many gaps that it would make the nets basically pointless. So it leads me to wonder what their actual purpose is. Finally leaving though, we make our way to the next pickup, being a Phas map we get from Mapbot on the center balcony. Making our way to L Chip security office where I get a second security badge. But as I complete the heinous FNAF section, I'm drugged to Lost and Found where I grab my trusty screwdriver. This leads us to grabbing a backstage pass from the rehearsal room, where we go backstage to grab a security badge and a performance disc. We then make it to the beginning of the Endo warehouse where we get our security tunnel map, trudging into the Endo daycare to receive our next security upgrade, and make our way to Chica's green room to get our party pass. Now, just a quick break before I decide where I want to go with this party pass to check in. I'd imagine that listening to me ramble off the main story collectibles isn't the most fun, but I feel that it's important to the premise of this entire series, so we have documentation of where all these items were. Obviously not everything is important, but maybe it is. I won't know until I've brought everything together for its happiest day. But as I decide to head up to Monty Golf, let's try and get through these upgrades in a timely manner so we can get to the star of this episode, the 4th floor. In the Monty Golf security office, we grab ourselves both a FazCam, our next security badge upgrade, as well as a ticket to Mazer Size. Yippee. So after getting the Mazer Size maintenance key from the Fazbear Theater dressing room, making our way through Mazer Size to the catwalks, we brutally murder Monty in order to grab his claws that we pick up from his legs, cause yeah? Suiting Freddy with new hands, we make our way to Roxy Raceway, grabbing our damaged Staffbot head, as well as making our way to the garages to grab a dance pass that was left behind after a rushed closing. We then repair our Staffbot head, and we make our way back to the raceway to smash Roxy and steal her eyes. Making it to the front of the Pizzaplex, I force myself to stay because I think leaving would kind of defeat the purpose of the series. So as Freddy gives me a party pass, I make my way to the final stretch of my story mission. Starting off in Fazer Blast, I grab a Bonnie Bowl ticket as well as another security badge upgrade. With Fazer Blast being another location that I believe has parts you cannot return to, I make sure to thoroughly explore it for its lore, which the Fazer Blast arena doesn't hold a lot of secrets itself. Just having cutouts of the cast in space gear, as well as showing off some evil monitor, and then being chased around by Chica, the secrets are hidden elsewhere. Behind one of the flags you have to capture, you'll find a back room, where we find a golden gift box which contains an old poster for Fredbear's singing show, with cheap tickets and a 30s rubber hose art style, bringing up a lot of questions as to what this poster is for. And as we make our way to the winner's room, we grab our golden Fazer Blaster, with nothing much standing out of place outside of a half-open empty pizza box, some snacks, and some coffee cups strewn about. We make our way through an open vent that leads us to a duffel bag that describes a head security guard who was given the position with "no questions asked." To which we peer in a room with the name Vanny graffitied on it, with a sleeping bag in the corner and the third Princess Quest arcade machine inside. Something we wouldn't see except in the Vanny ending. So, making our way out from Fazer Blast, I will describe the outside areas when we get to this floor in a future part of the series. But for now, I have to make my way to Bonnie Bowl, where the back room of the little ice cream parlor, I grab myself a bag of Monty Mystery Mix. With the bag secured, we make our way out, but don't worry. As Bonnie Bowl is our 4th floor, we'll be back here soon to explore the hidden secrets of everyone's dad's favorite hangout. But as we make our way down to the basement, I grab my next security badge before crushing Chica and stealing her voice box. Before going through the most stressful chase sequences, knowing one misstep could mean repeating the whole section. Like, I never even knew that Vanny chases you here, but as we make it through the infamous sticky note room we'll be covering in a later episode, I make sure to save before suiting Freddy up with the final upgrade, which strangely gives him a purple bow tie. But finally, with all the story beats outside of the endings out of the way, we can finally break down the 4th floor. But quickly before that, a call to action. If you're a theorist interested in helping me break down the Pizzaplex in its entirety, this isn't a solo project. In fact, we do these sessions in my Discord where everyone who's interested can join in the call as I explore the areas for the episode. So if you want to help me with this daunting task, I highly suggest joining the Discord and joining the fun. But without further ado, the 4th floor contains 2 sections of the Pizzaplex, Bonnie Bowl and the West Arcade. We'll be starting in Bonnie Bowl where I came across some challenges
What the fuck?
I'd be facing throughout my time in the Pizzaplex. The enemy encounters. Not every room is going to be as difficult as the last, but Bonnie Bowl stands out for a couple reasons. First, being that there are endos scattered around the area between the arcade cabinets and bowling lanes. But what made this infinitely more hard was the fact that the main animatronic that paroles this area is Chica. But I only knew this because of her voice lines.
Okay, so the hall, the bathrooms, the arcade, and this area here is all explored. What the f—
For some reason, an invisible, unshattered version of Chica was patrolling this area, and avoiding her was an
What?
interesting experience.
I'm so confused.
What?
I think you died.
Something is broken. Because wait a second, I should also have her voice box right now.
But starting out in the hall that connects the elevator to the arcade and the rest of Bonnie Bowl, the layout is pretty basic. We have cases with different bowling balls and pins. We also have 2 cases next to each other that contain trophies, with another trophy just out in the open on a side table. On the same side table, we get our Faz Life magazine, which shows to be issue 18. But outside of some lockers, trash, and golden pin decor, there wasn't much else of interest that stuck out to us. So, moving into the arcade, I think now is a good time to bring up the arcade cabinets. There is a lot of them. However, there are many repeat machines, as well as some that feel less important than others. But since there's already videos that show off each cabinet, I think it's more important to bring up interesting patterns I find, such as if they are in clusters or if there's any themes or anything like that. So using this as my rule of thumb, there are 4 black and white pillars with cabinets surrounding them, with 4 more in between those making 8 circles of arcade cabinets, with the rest of the cabinets lining the wall. Cabinets that stood out to me were a couple of plush trap chasers, as well as a brainbusters that show Theodore and Ella from the books. There's also a cabinet called Ends with Stars, which I'm only bringing up because that's literally just how FNAF ends, with stars.
What the fuck?
Making our way into the check-in area, we get a couple nameless booths and doorways that lead to the arcade with a golden border and stars. Making our way over to the check-in desk, the first thing to stick out to me was the shoe racks and the spacing in between them. Throughout the game, there is a shoe theme that I believe to be important, especially considering the room in Ruin filled with shoes. So this shoe rack that has the same pattern in the 4 racks we see make me wonder if there's any deeper meaning here. Although it could just be a copy-pasted asset, like this check-in sheet you find on the desk. Although the words can't be made out from the game itself, and this series isn't about file searching. The last thing to stick out to me on the desk is this stack of papers with the 1 in the black bin looking like it reads Agreement of Mortgage at the top. A weird detail to have in a bowling alley. So outside of these popcorn stands, that concludes my findings of the check-in area. Moving to the women's bathroom, we get a pink and green theming with Chica imagery on the walls, while the men's restroom is a blue and red with orange highlights and Freddy imagery respectively. Moving into the lanes themselves, we get into some interesting details, such as picking up a duffel bag in the corner, giving us a Princess Quest 1 maintenance log note, which details the oddity of the mobile title being ported into an arcade cabinet. I find this interesting, however, seeing that it is believed that the employee who was so enthralled with what was going on with the cabinets is our character in Help Wanted 2, who is supposed to be the Bonnie bully, or Jeremy. So, that the beginning of the Princess Quest arcade cabinet stories starts in Bonnie Bowl is an interesting detail. We also get a gift box in these lanes that contains a Bonnie plush, although that's to be expected in a place centered around Bonnie. Now the last important piece of the lanes I wanted to bring up is honestly the elephant in the room, or more accurately, the endos in Bonnie Bowl. I had briefly brought them up, but in the arcade and on the lanes, we have a variety of endos that roam the area, with the endos on the lanes always assuming their positions on lanes 2, 8, 10, 16, 17, and 18. It's such an odd detail seeing that they originally come up after we acquire Monty Mystery Mix from the back room. But how did they get here? And why here? Bonnie Bowl was the highest floor of the Pizzaplex, so why is it this room that the endos decide to inhabit? Moving into the ice cream parlor, the first thing that stands out is obviously our baby-styled ice cream vendors, sporting similar colors and appearance. But that's not the only familiar face here, as we also get a black version of one of the Paper Pals, with another being close by. In this parlor, we also get Bonnie's stage that is closed for some obvious reasons. However, when you bring Freddy to this area, we get to hear how he doesn't come to these parts anymore due to how much he misses his lover, revealing one of the CDs we can collect. Before heading behind the desk, however, I just wanted to point out how each of the trash cans have the animatronics' mouths on the lids except for Monty, which has his glasses. Getting behind the desk, we get a better look at the baby staff bot and Paper Pal. We also see a Toy Chica plushie that's in front of a Burger Shake advert. And on the desk we see a gumball machine as well as tons of what looks like candy shakes. There's also just multitudes of other Fazbear treats. On the whiteboard we also get a look at the ice cream flavors. Moving into the back rooms, we get parts and service crates as well as a corkboard with 2 notes, one being a scheduled port pending for 6 a.m. as well as another with a lot of tallies on it. More importantly, we get another Paper Pal of Bonnie with black details, and with this one and the Black Freddy, they make me think of the Shadow animatronics. Now, bunched up on the floor, we get what appears to be a pile of trash, but when you take a closer look, you notice that all the textures consist of fabrics, making it actually look like a dirty pile of blankets on top of some newspapers. We also have a couple storage racks with 2 having significant damage to them. Moving close to where we get the Monty Mystery Mix, we get a duffel bag message of safety check, which just describes the need to keep pizza related items away from the compactor to keep Chica safe, mostly being there to just guide us on what to do. Heading down the stairs of the back room, atop a stack of boxes, we get our first instance of the Nightmare Own doll staring down on us. We also get a golden gift box surrounded by bowling balls that when you open it up gifts you the golden Monty plush, which is an interesting place to put the plush, seeing that Monty has his own area in Monty Golf. So why put his special plush in the back room of Bonnie Bowl? But with that, we conclude the exploration of the bowling alley. Now being able to explore the last section of the 4th floor, the West Arcade. Arriving to the floor, we're greeted by a huge golden statue of the animatronics on or around a set of speakers. A grand sight for such a huge area. The animatronics that hold down the fort would be Monty, who crawls around the lower arcade area. Chica, who stalks the higher floor. And DJ Music Man, who throws down some fat beats up on his stage. Although it's important to note that this musical Spider-Man thing has the ability to crawl through the variety of holes in the arcade for either cleanup or execution. Which, if I ever saw this huge ass monster crawling on the walls as a child, it's over. I'm going home, packing my shit up and burning the place down. Ain't no way this abomination is gonna be crawling above me. Like, imagine it doesn't grab onto the ceiling and falls. Yeah, no. Anyways, getting back on track. Starting on the dance floor, we can see a spider web design throughout the ceiling, while the walls are made up of grids of purple and green, with the green grid containing blacked out Phaser Blast cutouts, while the floor is consistently fogged over. We also get a little sitting corner to the side for all the wallflowers. And finally in this chunk we get DJ Music Man breaking it down sexual style on his disco stage like the quirked up white boy he is. Making our way into the women's restroom, we're met with a pink lit room with photos of the female animatronics and pink stars. The layout is also interesting with stalls in the middle of the restroom, while mirrors and sinks are laid adjacent to the stalls. On the ceiling, we get an interesting detail as one of the Music Man holes are there, although it's too small for Music Man to get anything but maybe his arm through. Moving into the men's restroom, we get a green lit room with imagery of the male animatronics and green lit stars. The layout is the same as the women's room, except one side of the toilets has been replaced with urinals that still lay adjacent to the mirrors. So all those kids who still fully take off their pants to pee are going to be showing the full moon to everyone. Now this bathroom has one more trick up its sleeve that is a mystery to be solved, and that's in its supply closet, where upon opening it, you are met with the puppet plush with a lone shoe laying next to it in the middle of the floor. Now, this detail is clearly important as it was put in a room that the player cannot avoid in the story, as it contains one of the breakers you have to flip, and with all the appearances of shoes like the room in ruin,
why specifically just the puppet in this shoe? This is something I'd bet has a bigger role than we suspect. Now, the hallway connecting the restrooms didn't have any design details that popped, just some couches for resting and more Music Man holes. So, moving to the bottom arcade area, some standout machines included a lefty cabinet centered around 5 coins. Weird seeing that the coins were a Rockstar Freddy mechanic.
Deposit 5 coins. Please deposit. Please deposit. Please deposit.
Please deposit 5 coins.
Next to it was a Mangle's Quest cabinet, tying back to the FNAF 3 minigames. In the middle of the floor, we get some air hockey tables, and off to the side we get 2 basketball machines. One centered around the puppet variations and another centered around Funtime Freddy. And behind these machines, under the stairs, we get our next gift box containing the Glam Monty plush. Making our way to the first platform up the stairs, we get some more arcade cabinets, with the only one really sticking out to me being the one called Data Crashers. So finally, reaching the top of this floor, where moving past the check-in desk, we get cabinets galore, all in such a small area. Clustered together, we get Fredbear cabinets and Chocolate Bonnie ones. We also get some that have Fetch, another with Toy Bonnie with Bonnet and Bonbon. We have Freddy in Space pinball machines. There's this cabinet with Foxy, Mingle, and Lolbit on the side. House of the Bear 2 that has the Joy of Creation animatronics, another Brain Busters, a Dr. Scrap Trap machine, BB's Air Adventure, and the Clash of Clowns that has AR Clown Trap and Scrap Baby. There was a lot of machines filled with Easter eggs or more, which I find interesting as this is another area that you have to pass through, and with such a cluster of callbacks in other games, it does feel like there's some importance to these cabinets. Like how we have 2 Fredbear games centered around eating, Hangry Fredbear and Fredbear Nom Nom Bites. Anyways, moving into the other half of the arcade, we get ourselves a variety of karaoke rooms. The first being a light pink room with orange highlights and blue furniture. The second being light pink with green furniture. However, our third room is still under construction, with wires, pallets, boxes, and the such. Either this room is being added in or had to be renovated. And our last room has a light green lighting, red furniture, and other lights. This room also has a gift box that contains a Chica magnet. Moving into our final area, we start in the employee office, where in the center of the room we get the huge head deposit machine that's supposed to repair the staff bots. Next to it being a bin of parts with a Nightmare-owned staff bot head staring at us with its white glowing eyes. We also have a ton of control computers as well as a Hangry Fredbear cabinet that just has trash floating on it. I also learned I never took the security badge from this room, giving me my last one finally. This desk is also filled with trash, and at the edge of the table, a Bonnie plush. We also get a variety of notes on the bulletin board, including location, Pizzaplex, package, numbers 364-73281, that states it needs to be returned. We also get a note that looks like 2 circles with one looking like the sun and maybe a planet, with the picture of Freddy's head on the note next to it. And below that, a note that says schedule, import pending, 6 a.m. There's another at the top that's a picture of a toilet with some cursive I can't make out. A note with pizza and hearts on it. Another note that ominously just says it is drawn to sound. Followed by a strip of paper that is reoccurring that simply says #, followed by 3 question marks. which the final important item I found being the duffel bag message, Ultimate Party Host, which just describes Music Man's installation and power of improv. We also learn of the bouncer mode that voids its warranty, which is interesting to take note of because that could mean that Music Man isn't a Fazbear animatronic, since Fazbear has purchased this animatronic from a party that wouldn't hold the warranty if the bouncer mode is activated. Moving out of the office, however, and into the back room, we are greeted with the Butter vs. Pickles arcade cabinet, which are linked to Sister Location and FNAF 6 respectively. We also have a lot of Plush Trap Chaser cabinets that are all on, glitching a purple starting text. Now, one of the most important things I have noticed is that we get some workbenches in this room, and on 2 of them, we get the weird inclusion of these military transceivers. Now, last I checked, Freddy was not in the front lines of war, so why do we have these here? On the same desk, we have an Endo blueprint. There's also a gas can and other supplies under the desk. And finally, moving to the end of the hall, we get a Bonnie cutout that works as a key to the secret theater room, Princess Quest 2, and a duffel bag message, PQT, maintenance log, where it continues the story of the Princess Quest line, describing how this person can't play the game and says that it seems personal, which I again find very intriguing that this machine and message is found by yet another important Bonnie item, almost like they're connected. But with that, we conclude the West Arcade breakdown, and furthermore, the 4th floor. This series is definitely a daunting task with how easy it could be to overlook a detail, and who knows, I might have. And that's why I could use all of your help. As I mentioned earlier, the filming for this video was all done in my Discord server, so the members were able to join in and help point out details they noticed. So if you think you could add on to our findings, I really hope you join in and be a part of my endeavors. But with that said, we're hitting the end of the first episode of this series. I'd hope you subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you'd be notified when the 3rd floor breakdown comes out. And with that said, this is page 12 of this script, so I'm gonna go touch some grass and I'll see you guys next time.